Hi all, I'm Dr. Trisha Peach, host of the Kidmin.Ninja. I'm glad you're here again to see us this week, and if you're new, hi, remember to ring the bell and subscribe. We love that. So I do stuff on kids ministry, a lot on family. So today I want to talk about some really important do's and don'ts when you've taken a new ministry position. Now, I was on staff 17 years. I travel now and speak out of my books. But I learned some things the hard way about what you should and shouldn't do right after you take a new ministry position. And this would actually apply to any ministry position, senior student, Kidmin, whatever position you take in ministry. Here are a few things to remember for that first year especially. And it doesn't matter if you've been in ministry 20, 40 years or this is your first ever ministry position. These things remain the same when you first enter a ministry position. So, all right, your number one priority when you first take a new position is you are there to meet as many people as you can and get to know them. This takes time. You need to meet the parents, the volunteers, you need to meet your ministry leaders, you need to meet the other staff, you need to meet all the kids. You have a lot of names to learn. So your number one priority right now is meeting everybody and making the rounds. I highly suggest an open house. I suggest maybe a reception at the church, maybe have people over into your home. But your main job is getting to know who everybody is and what they do. 2, I hate to say this, but some of the best advice my boss ever gave me. He said, don't trust the first people that come up to you at a new pastorate. And unfortunately, this has proven true time and time and time again. I found people that are wonderful that came up and were just great. But sometimes the first people that you meet are the ones that were angry at the one that was in your position before. So they have this chance to jump back in because your predecessor's gone, and they'll jump right in and be your right-hand person. They want to help you with everything. Just be careful. Remember, you don't know the situation yet. You don't know everything about everybody, and just be cautious. Just be cautious, because especially if they start bad-mouthing your predecessor, then you think, uh-oh, okay. They're hoping you won't pick up on whatever it was that caused your predecessor to ask them to step down. Just be careful. A lot of times that first person that comes up and tries to be your very best friend in the whole wide world may end up having some issues in ministry that you have to address. So just keep that in mind. Number 3. That first year in ministry, and this is the hardest one for me, you really need to be careful about making big changes. This is the hardest for me because patience is not my virtue. God has to work on me for patience. And sometimes just the nature of my calling, I can walk in and go, whoop, that's wrong, this needs to be changed, that we have to correct. But I can see it, but the time to move on it is not usually right away. Remember, your first priority is meeting those people and building that foundation. Because when you start to make those big turns, you want them with you. You want them with you. And yes, not everyone will make the turn. But if you walk in and the first week you're changing 4, 5, 6 things and they're not with you, you're going to be rowing that boat all by yourself. And that's not what you want. You need time to get to meet them and vision cast, learn the culture of that church that you can speak into, and then start making some changes. Now, if you're seeing something that is unsafe, that you need to address immediately. So I'm not talking about things that are not safe. So if you're a kids pastor, you go into a brand new position and they aren't background checking their workers. Nope, that's not safe. That needs to be corrected immediately. Another thing I would say, when I started, one of the pastorates I was at, the kids loved to start the night with something called battle sock. And we called it blood sport because kids always got hurt and we'd always have 1 or 2 bleeding and crying. And this was the first things parents saw when they dropped off. So I did switch that very quickly, we did a safer game in the middle of Wednesday night, but when the parents dropped off and picked up, they saw their kids in worship. Fun kid songs or worship and prayer time. No more blood sport battle sock. That had to be changed because that was unsafe. So don't make huge changes right away. Big changes that would be a mistake, I think, would be to start firing or taking down key leaders right away. That will not establish trust in the other volunteers. They're going to be worried they're next. Even if you can tell very quickly this person is not good for that position, you need to get the lay of the land and learn all these people's names and where they're coming from, their kids. I would not do that right away. And I wouldn't change curriculums immediately. Even if you hate the one they have, learn why they use it, why they like it, what they liked about it, and build those relationships, build their trust, so that when you do make a curriculum shift, that they hopefully will go with you, that you'll do it as a team, not you as a dictator. I guess what I'm saying is there's a difference between leading from position where I'm in this position, I order and you do, and we are making this turn. We are making this turn, and I'm leading through relationship. That's always been my thing. I think it works well to go from relationship. Number four, again, you wouldn't think of this all the time, but do not badmouth your predecessor. Even if everything you're hearing is terrible, just have some wisdom and restraint. Some good things you can say are, wow, that sounds awful, or, ooh, I don't understand why they made that decision. I bet that hurt. I say things like that. I sometimes will go to my predecessor and talk to them and ask, because remember, there's always two sides. And if they talk that way about the last one, they may talk that way about you. So I don't badmouth my predecessor. I just will say things like, well, that was how it was, and this is how we're going to do it now. This is what we're doing now. I hear you. That sounds really rough. This is how we're going to do it now. In fact, I try to honor the person that came before me, honor my predecessor, because you will still have leaders that are attached to that leader, and they're looking for reasons not to trust you. And if you keep saying nice things about the previous leader and showing, hey, I'm not in a competition with them, sometimes you can build trust with them and keep them on board as well. That's definitely the hope. Number 5. Don't get walled into making a big decision on something right away. And what does this mean? I mean, this is especially true for young leaders and new leaders. Sometimes when you're the new one in the position, there are people, I wish this weren't true, I wish I didn't have to say this about church, but there are some people that see that as, now's my moment to make a power play, and I can bully this new leader into doing what I want, because they'll back down. So what I tell new young leaders and experienced ones, don't be pushed into making snap decisions. So here's your escape clause, okay? You need to say things like, oh, that's quite the idea. Let me think on that. Or, oh, I'd like to pray on that a while. Hey, I'll email you back on that. I'm going to take some time to think about it. They may push you to make a snap decision that second. That's a warning sign. You should not be pushed into making a snap decision. An experienced leader will say, thank you for sharing that. I will give that some more thought, so that you're making a thoughtful decision and you're not pushed into some kind of a power play. You don't want that. So even if you're very young, I went into kid ministry. I was on staff from the time I was 20, and I had a baby face. So I learned really fast. I had to have escape words, because I'm going to get pushed into doing something I don't want to do, because I'm nervous and I don't want to upset people. So I've learned to say, oh, that's very interesting idea. I'll give it some thought. So make sure you hold your ground on that one. And just to recap, meet everybody, be social, make that your number one priority in the first year. Make those relationships. Don't badmouth your predecessor. Don't trust the first people that come up to you and want to be your best buddies. You know, don't do that. Don't make massive changes in the first year. Listen and learn, and don't get bullied into making snap decisions. I hope that makes sense. Did I miss anything in those top 5? If I did, please comment down below, especially those of you that have been in ministry for a while. What would you tell people that were just taking a brand new position? What should they do and not do? Do you agree? Do you have some to add? Please comment down below, like and subscribe. We love you guys, and I will see you next week on Kidmin.Ninja.